Welcome back inside Trailblazer Weekly as we have our second guest of the day, and we jump right into it as Dixie State men's cross country freshman Kyler Miller joins us on the show. Kyler, thanks so much. I know we had to rearrange things and have you come in at a different time than we were going to have you come in earlier, but you still made the time to come in, and we appreciate it. And,
yeah, no problem.
We're excited to have you here because you're having a phenomenal freshman season. And like I said, we'll just dive right into it, fresh off of the great performance in Grand Junction at the conference championships this last weekend. Everybody knows what a tough cross-country conference the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference is. I mean, Adams State gets to run at altitude every single day, and that really is a thing. I mean, they just have lungs and hearts of steel. But you go to Grand Junction, and you finish in 14th, and in your first collegiate conference championship race, you earn a first team all-conference honors. Congratulations, first of all. But I want you to take us through that race. What were some of your strategies, and what was your game plan, so to speak, as that race progressed?
Well, so I started out, 2 weeks ago I raced at SUU, went out too fast, and I was like, I can't do that again. So kind of stayed conservative in the first 2 kilometers, and then started moving up a little more and more, and then found out I was in 20th, and I was like, all right, got to keep moving up. And so once we got into the last 4Ks, just started moving.
And first team All-RMAC honors, just the second first teamer for this men's team in their NCAA Division II era. I mean, what does that mean to you to come in as a freshman and you're earning all first team all conference already?
I didn't even know that. That's awesome. That's really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's a fantastic accomplishment to be able to come in and do that. And obviously, you're helping build a program that, on this men's side has been on the build for a while. And I mean, it's got to feel good to know that you're contributing, especially everyone's looking. You got that move to Division I coming up, and I'm sure you're excited for that and showing, obviously, Division I talent in what you're doing this year. But, what's that like knowing you're helping build this men's team into something that this school and this community can really be proud of?
I feel like it's more of a team aspect because I just run, it's more of a team aspect. Us together, we're doing good things together. They're pushing me, I'm pushing them, so.
Absolutely. I've always said the cross country is one of those, interesting dynamic sports where you have individual results, but then really there's the team result that everyone's pushing for as well, and it's incredible to see those sports work that way.
Kyler, you mentioned as we march forward, talking with Kyler Miller here on Trailblazer Weekly live from the men's cross country team. You talked about during that race, you at one point had probably from your coach had been told that you were in 20th place and kind of knew you needed to pick it up. Interestingly enough, just 7 seconds were the difference between 13th place and 16th place. So obviously very, very tight there towards the end. What was it like in that particular instance towards the end of that race where you knew you had several runners there right close to each other? What was that like?
It was very scary. It was like coming down the last little stretch, I knew that they were coming in, knew that they were going to be right on my tail, so I just give it all you got for that last little bit.
And how is it? I mean, obviously, I'm just assuming that you knew you were in 20th because of your coach. How is it knowing? I mean, does your coach just pick a spot in the race and just sit there, or does he move throughout the race as you're running to kind of either give you advice or tell you where you're at? How does that work as you're running the race? How much help does your coach actually provide to you?
Yeah, they go around the course and they figure out, they count for us, and then they tell us to hang back maybe a little bit or go get that next guy, but usually just go get that next guy.
We're chatting with Dixie State men's cross-country freshman Kyler Miller here on Trailblazer Weekly. You mentioned the team aspect of it, and let's talk about that next. 6th place in a tough conference out of 16 teams. Like I mentioned, this team has just been on the rise, and that's a great finish for this men's team. What was the team's reaction to that 6th place finish, and was everyone happy? I'm sure everyone was pretty pumped when that race was over.
We were way pumped. It was a dang good race that we had. We were hoping at least top 10, and when we got 6th, we were pretty excited for that.
Yeah, and now team is regionally ranked for the first time, so congratulations for that in the South Central region, number 9. I keep bringing this up, you being a freshman. I'm sure you're sick of it already, and this is for you 5 or 6 minutes we've been here already. But you've stepped in and really been, and you mentioned the team aspect, but you've been kind of a team leader of sorts and setting the pace, literally setting the pace for this Trailblazers team. How has that been as you come in as a freshman and have kind of taken on a leadership role? Is it any extra pressure, or is it something that maybe you just don't even think about that often? You just go out and run?
Kind of both. Sometimes it's like I got to go out and show, like, just got to go out there and show that I can. Then hopefully that my team will follow and be like, okay, if he's doing it, I can go do it. And then, but sometimes it's just, yeah, just go out and run and have fun with it.
What is it that obviously as a freshman, you got some upperclassmen above you that have been there, that have been in this program for years now, and what has it been like for you just to be able to, obviously, coming from high school, certainly a different dynamic, high school or college, not only just in your everyday life, but not only that, you're now a student athlete having to balance classes and training and all that kind of stuff. How's it been like to kind of be able to lean on some of those upperclassmen and be able to learn from some of them guys? Obviously, you've performed and kind of pulled your weight, so to speak, but what's it been like to kind of learn from some of them upperclassmen?
It's been awesome. I love learning from all of them, giving me hints and tips and tricks about all the ins and outs of college running and stuff. It's been way cool.
And is there any, obviously there's probably been a few of the racers that have raced on different courses. They're going back to a course that they've already raced. How much do those tips about, hey, this course is going to be like this, you got to run towards more like this, or pace yourself or whatnot, how much have those types of tips help you, throughout your career here so far?
A lot. It helps a ton. Just like stay like, hey, this guy, he's going to go out fast, don't stay with him. It's nice to know.
Chatting with Kyler Miller, Dixie State men's cross country freshman, here on Trailblazer Weekly. What's the biggest differences? You've made that jump from high school to collegiate cross country. What are some of the biggest differences that you've noticed, pretty quickly? Maybe going back to that first collegiate race up at BYU. What are some of the big differences that have jumped out at you from high school and college?
Definitely the lengths of the races. It's crazy how much longer it is. Just because it used to be like 15 minutes, now it's like 25, almost 30 minutes.
So what's the longest, like, in terms of length? Obviously, the conference championship was an 8K here in college. You're getting ready to run a 10K at the South Central Regionals. What was the longest race that you would run, say the state meet in high school? How long was that race?
It was a 5K.
5K. Wow.
Yeah, so half.
So that really is half of what you're getting ready to go run.
Yeah.
This in next week, actually. So how much has that changed maybe your preparation week by week? I mean, how do you prepare for that? You just put in more miles and try to build that endurance? What is the key to making that jump and being ready to compete and be successful with these longer races?
Yeah, it's more endurance workouts and stuff, and then it's also like recovery times. Like we get a little bit more recovery time from our races.
Go ahead, Drayson.
I just obviously, as a freshman, you're coming in to Dixie State, and part of being a student athlete is the student portion of it. And wanted to always talk to you a little bit about, your plans for your education. Do you have a major selected already, or do you have any idea of what you might want to do as a major in your career here at Dixie State?
Honestly, not yet. Not yet. I'm just generals for now.
Just general. That's always
figure it out.
That's always a good thing. No, there's never any rush. Obviously, got a lot of classes to choose from. How has it been for you? Obviously, it's much different from high school to college. Going back to kind of that differences. Obviously we talked about the differences in the athletic portion of it between the lengths of races and things like that. How has it been for you to be able to kind of balance your class life and the responsibilities you have there with your responsibilities as a member of the cross country team?
Hasn't been that hard. But it's different. It is different, but it's not that bad.
Chatting with Kyler Miller, Dixie State cross country freshman here on Trailblazer Weekly, and don't sweat not knowing what your major is. I didn't know what I wanted to do until I was like a junior in college. So you got plenty of time. You'll figure it out. Just go run and have some fun and get those generals done. Wanted to ask you about kind of cross country in general. I mean, cross country, I would say, and just running, maybe outside of golf, is got to be one of the most mental sports in all of sports and all of competition. What are some of the biggest life lessons maybe you've learned from the sport in knowing that, you know, you're going to run into limits, but hey, you can push those and you can break through barriers, and I imagine that's got to be one of them. What are some of the biggest life lessons you've picked up just from being a runner and competing in cross country?
Just to, even if it seems hard now, just keep on going, because like if you keep on going, it's gonna give you big payoff in the end.
Absolutely, that's good. I've always admired runners, and I've always heard about this second wind that comes, and it's almost euphoric. I mean, is that a real thing? I just, in my running career, which is very small, I've never gotten to that. I'm not a runner. Is that a real thing? I mean, do you hit a certain point that you just know, if I can get to this point and fight through there, it's maybe that's just going to become numb, and I'll be fine and be able to run through it? Yeah,
it's kind of like that, but kind of it's just like you kind of zone in, but it's kind of like you zone out at the same time. Yeah. It's kind of weird, and then it's just like just go, like you just focus in on one thing, like go get that next guy, and then you go get that, and then you go get the next guy.
That's incredible. I'd say it's something that I've never experienced and will never experience because I'm not a runner. But I admire those of you that have that much mental capacity to be able to fight through a lot of that stuff. We like to ask our student athletes who would come in some rapid fire questions, some fun questions. We always like to start out with maybe your favorite memory from your sport. I mean, it could be, you know, getting first team All-RMAC at the conference, or I'm sure you've won plenty of high school meets as well. Do you have a favorite memory from your cross country career to this point that you kind of think back on and think, man, that was awesome?
Yeah, it was definitely my senior year of track. That was probably some of my favorite. It was state track meet, and it was the funnest race I've ever ran.
Were there some raising of some trophies or some medals at the end of that memory?
Yeah, we took second place in the sprint medley, and I ran the 800, and I started out 5th place and ended up in 2nd.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was a fun race.
Good deal. Do you have a favorite place you like to run?
Ooh.
Favorite run you like to go on? I'm sure that maybe changed now as you're running down here in St. George.
Yeah.
More. I mean, is the weather? You're from up north, right? You're from Harriman, Utah. Is it harder to run in the wintry type weather than it is maybe down here in St. George, or is that not too big a deal?
It's a little difficult up there. It's a little chilly and slick.
And icy, I'm sure.
Yeah, but definitely my favorite place to run would probably be either Butterfield Canyon or Yellow Fork Canyon. It's just some trail runs up in Harriman.
Awesome. He is Dixie State cross-country freshman Kyler Miller, fresh off a first-team All-RMAC performance in this last Saturday. Billy Hatch and the women's team also accomplishing that feat. And the Trailblazers will get set to travel to Canyon, Texas next week for the NCAA Division II South Central Regionals. Have you ever been to Texas before?
Yeah, I have actually.
They say everything's bigger in Texas. Are the cross-country trails bigger as well? You are running a 10K.
Apparently it's a 10K.
So, we wish you the best of luck, Kyler, at the regionals next week. And, you know, we'd love to see you and even your team at nationals here in a couple of weeks. So we wish you the best of luck, and we'll be paying close attention to those results and hoping we see some good ones next week.
Thank you.